Okay, let's go back to where
Okay.
we told Jack he was the only man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we all noticed
Yeah.
you were the only
You,
man,
you
Jack.
did. Right. Well, what strikes me is this, that on my website, I managed to get my MA dissertation from the University of Bath from 1972. And last week they did it into a PDF file. I've got it on my website. Now, if I go back to my very first papers of when I started in 67, that I've got a whole lifetime of publications with a real focus that Gregory Bateson talked about it there in the Mail, transcendental focus. Do you know, I can look back that I've got almost one central idea that's characterized my professional life. Now, if you look at your lives, they fit with what Mary Catherine Bateson has said. And this isn't critical, this is positive, where she talked about women's capacity. She calls it for distraction, but it was actually taking on multiple commitments and responding to those commitments. Whereas I'm very aware that if I focus on your multiple commitments in terms of your relational dynamic that you've been working on, it's like the male. When you look at the bloody world at the moment, it is a disaster. And you look at the number of men that are actually in control of this warfare, these rockets, the whole lot. Now, I'm suggesting that if I just focus one idea, the transcendental idea, literally on your capacity for the various and multiple commitments that you've got, that I think something really exciting could come out of it. But that's where I've got to. It won't take me long just to draft out something. You can say, no, this is rubbish, Jack. But that's what I would love just to test out. I don't want to go on, but Jackie and Michelle, where you had your love for learning, where Pabhati has got that grounding within the Sanskrit and the Hindu ways of knowing. Maureen, the Neri, when you think of the group and you've worked together collaboratively over years, and it has been in connected knowing. You've actually worked together and supported each other over years. Now, that's not how I tend to work, to follow. And I think Gregory Bateson was right. I do have a different, almost like cosmological base with an energy that comes from a different source than yours as women, grounded in the relational dynamic. But that's where I've just got to, as I say, just trying out this idea with you just to see if it's got legs, if you feel it's worthwhile doing.
I'm not sure it's that black and white, Jack.
No, it's not meant to be black and white. It's meant to be, historically, when you look at what Gregory Bateson and his daughter, Mary Catherine Bateson, are saying, there does seem to be biases, and those biases are quite marked. And so you're right, Maureen. It's not black and white. There are, shades to it. But when I look, as I say, historically now, and you look around the world, then the men that are controlling what's actually happened. Yeah.
I think it'd be lovely to hear as well your own insights, as say coming from a non-feminine or feminist,
Yeah.
maybe yes, feminist perspective, but not feminine or
exactly that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly that. Yeah. But I will have a go. And as I say, I'd just like to test out with you. How does this sound, given your own histories, your own values, your own commitments? Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think that it might be helpful if each of us gave some writing or thinking or reflecting on the points that Jack has just made about what he thinks our contributions are. Does anybody have some thoughts on that just to start?
I think if we have the questions, like as you previously used to give us some questions for to write the answers. So based on that, we can draft answering the question, and later on we can blend them into the different categories, maybe like in the form of different answer. That can be one of the approaches which we have been adapting. So the same thing can be articulated in different forms and in our own ways. And within within us also, we may have the different ways of knowing and making sense of
Yeah.
or understanding the values, so that the same probing question may help us to deepen our understanding of what it means to us and how we understand the things which we have been doing. Yeah.
Parvati,
Well,
sorry, go on, Jackie.
I'm just thinking that you also, Parvati, have the influence of cosmic energy. So you have that in common with what Jack is saying is part of his way of being.
Yeah, that is resonating. I also call it energy, and it's more like feminine energy and masculine energy of, or somewhere in between there is a value that is embedded with that. If we go beyond the physicality, we look into the energy level, and that energy level defines and redefines our masculine and feminine. Maybe like it is connected with our ways of knowing, and maybe if we consider that as quality, feminine quality and masculine, and we need to look into the values embedded there. So maybe that is the exploration. We may name or rename the value, or we may go deep on we may deepen that energy perspective also from our exploration.
Well, and I reflect back on the inclusion in your writing of, now I may not get this pronunciation right, but Ardhanavishvanor,
Yeah, Ardhanarish. Yeah.
yeah, the harmony and the two male female parts to that harmony.
Yes.
So
So yeah, I mentioned them as energy, masculine and feminine energy, and the quality at the same time. And today I'm going to present in one of the classes, philosophy class, which you have been taking with our dean. There I'm mentioning it as, or the Nareshwar as, it's the singular form of Siva as the first philosophy that I mention as Sachitanand. That is, Sat is truth, Satya or truth. Chit is consciousness, and Ananda is harmony. So that three is the constellation of Sachitanand. That means that includes all three components: ontology, epistemology, and axiology. That means ontology is the truth. Siva is truth, means that includes both feminine and masculine energy in a singular form, in one form. Balanced form of masculine and feminine energy. And how do we know that is through consciousness? That is through consciousness, awareness, or let's say mindfulness, to make it very simple, through consciousness. And its ontology is Anand, that is harmony. So what I have got insight from this sharing, maybe planning to share and sharing, is that ontology, epistemology, and axiology are not the different entities, rather they are embedded as one. So if we split into different forms, onto, episto, and axio, they may appear as three, like Satchitanand, three components there. And if we pronounce at once together, that is Satchitanand, the singular. So that appears like Siva, like God. So that is quite connecting with what we have been discussing now in our today's class, and right now what we have been discussing here, the quality of Ardhanarish, issue which you have mentioned. So I'm happy to see the connection between
Great.
two. Yeah.
Which language is your class conducted in Barbati? Is it in Nepalese? Or?
This is Nepali, yes. We have also international students, PhD students are also invited in that class. That's not particularly accredited course or class, but that is so
Right.
voluntarily. Balchandra Luitel is taking that class. He is facilitating. That is a voluntary thing. He mentioned as that is his passion to have the discourse in this Eastern wisdom, traditional
Yeah.
perspectives. Yeah.
Very good.
I think,
Yeah.
Jack, if when we think about the masculine and the feminine, I think the point that I'd love for us to move towards that aligns with what Parvati is talking about is that it's not a binary either or. It's the goal is balance, right? The balance
Yeah.
within the person and the balance within society so
Yeah.
that you have harmony. So we don't have harmony in our world, and there is imbalance in
That's
the
right.
masculine versus feminine energy.
Yeah.
And just like there would be imbalance if there was too much feminine energy.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
So the idea is just not this or that, but within every individual to have the balance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that
Yes.
that I think would be, I mean, that I think is the goal.
Yeah.
You know, in order to
That's
elevate
really
human
good.
consciousness. So
I want to add one thing here, and I mention this as harmony to mention that Anand. It can be sensed or understood as happiness or well-being or anything we like. We can define from our ontologically we can define and discuss on it. So I chose Anand or harmony in this discussion.
Is there any chance, Parvati, you might video, what it is that you're doing? It may be in Nepalese, but I think for us to have a record that we could go back to, because what you've been saying today feels really important. But I don't know whether you could just videotape yourself today. It won't be long, but we would have a record of you teaching a class in terms of those values. Yeah.
Is that
I'll
possible?
try. Yeah, I'll try that. I'll see the possibilities. Maybe like I'll be asking with Balchandra Luitel about this. Maybe he may welcome some of us to listen to the class, and yeah, maybe I don't know.
Well, do ask by, and please give him my regards. That it would be lovely to have that anyway. That's great. Thanks.
So right after, I think we begin from 8:30, means after 25 minutes we'll start that class. And today some of us are presenting our first philosophy, and that the thing which I have mentioned right now, I'll be presenting that as my first philosophy.
Great. Well, do just ask somebody to videotape you doing it.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Good.
Maureen, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking exactly what Michelle and Parvati have just been saying, Yeah, I think it's very important for us to try and get that balance is I guess the good word to be using there, Parvati, and I think it's good so how does that inform our practice as in all our different roles, So it's something I've never thought about, gender, and do I think am I a feminist or feminine thinker and actor or not, or is it just a mixture of everything, And it's not something I've really spent time reflecting on, to be honest, but it's an interesting concept. I'm also aware that we need to be careful, Jack, if we're going down this road talking about gender, that, we've kind of moved away, I suppose, from the model that there was either male or female, and now it's a far more fluid kind of a thing physically for people, which wasn't a concept, 20, 30 years ago or 50 years ago or whatever, it's
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to be respectful, of
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
May I add something here? when I look into this, when I worked with the paper as well, from there, what I have got inside is when we talk about this male, female, or gender, we more focus on the gender roles, means in action or performance. But the concept which I have been sharing about the feminine and masculine is beyond that. Is the second that deepens our understanding of energy level or masculine or feminine qualities, and that all of us have. And I connect with everyday life with the affective domain, uh, and more like affective and cognitive domain. That is one of the connection which we can see in everyday context of education.
Yeah.
So mm,
I think it's interesting to think about uh your own values, right, as Maureen was talking about, and then how it feels either comfortable or uncomfortable when you walk into spaces that are dominated by a different energetic set of either masculine or feminine values, right? So I think a lot of the values that I feel most comfortable with are probably more feminine based, but in order to grow as an individual, I need to develop, both sides. So sometimes putting myself in some of those more masculine dominated spaces, and not that they're masculine dominated, but the AERA open desk reject is a great example. Like that is let me tell you like it is, cut the door, competition. Like those are some values that or some traits that might be seen more on the masculine side than the feminine side. And so it's very uncomfortable for me. But something that I have to learn how to navigate in the spaces. But we have spaces in education that are more feminine. When you look in elementary schools or you look in early childhood centers, those are more feminized spaces, and we don't see a lot of men in them, which is, I can understand that, right? And then you walk into other spaces and it's, you see it reflected, you see the energetic interpretation of masculine and feminine then reflected in the composition of which gender is in that space.
Yeah.
Which makes it difficult to make little humans that have balance, because they just repeat what they are seeing.
Mhm.
So it really is, if you can get it right, it's like the entire shift for human consciousness. But it's difficult because so many of our spaces are already segregated in that way.
mm. I agree. Like one of the qualities we have making sense in my context is inclusion. So if somebody is more feminine, he or she is more inclusive and energetic and wants to do more, and then like very receptive as well. So these are the things which we have been discussing, and in our context, we talk about progressive education, and there are so many things connected to collaborative approaches, inclusive classroom practices, and so on. And that sounds or seems like more feminine things. So we need to look into more on it before to come to the conclusion or to make
Yeah.
better things. I think we need to have some literature also so that we can mature our
I have a student this semester, a graduate student, who is in a survey research class with me. And I was kind of thrown because he's a male student. And he's like, okay, well, I want to survey a bunch of other teachers, and I want to find out what the perception is of males now falling behind and not getting, not getting an education in which they are succeeding as much as females. And immediately I was like, oh, I had this like reaction to be like, the whole world is set up for men. How did you do this? But like we talked about the literature, and the literature support, the literature now is, when you look in the United States, females are graduating at the collegiate level with more higher education degrees. They are having, have high GPAs, which is the pendulum shift from like 25 years ago when all the research came out about how we were failing girls in school. So now we're failing boys in school, right? But it's his data came back really interesting, and it was a lot of what we're talking about today,
Yeah.
where they didn't, the teachers are reporting in their classrooms that the boys just are like, society is telling them that it's not cool to care so much about how they're doing in school, and it's not cool to raise your hand first, and it's not cool to do this. Like, there's all of this because, they're like emanating this kind of cool male vibe and then underachieving at school, and the females are taking the lead. Yeah, it's been an interesting semester with gender studies.
I was just thinking about your earlier comment about taking criticism. And I said to Jack, I really thought that the information we got back from Open AERA had some very good points that we need to address if we're going to submit anywhere. I think we need to address them. What I didn't like was the tone that said, don't come back.
Mm.
But that may have been my reading of it. I think that's the job of the editor, to critique the work.
Mhm.
But my position is, if you address all these issues, I would be happy to have another look at it. But I didn't hear that.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it? Because I did, so I read it and I thought, first of all, I was irritated. I then went back to it, a week or so later, and I thought, no, there is an opening here.
Okay.
Anyway.
But your point also is that we want to get a foot in there to kind of share the knowledge in a venue that we have not been able to get in, and we've tried before.
That's right. Absolutely. Educational research is another one. And
Yeah.
we've got such a lot, I think, of important ideas to share. So I'll keep going with this anyway, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I think we've had good discussion today. We do try to keep to our half hour for everybody's sake,
That's good.
which it now is. Everybody okay with setting another date?
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
All right, so before we go, what is the question that we want people to consider for some writing going forward?
I don't want to hog this, but I'd be really interested in where Maureen was saying that she hasn't really considered, up till now, this issue, if you like, almost as a female, the sense of women's ways of knowing. Has it made a difference? What is the influence of being a woman in relation to the kind of research or ideas, the values base that you're actually developing? I can do the same from my perspective. But it's that kind of question, as you look at Bateson, but Mary Catherine Bateson's, what I thought was really powerful. And I don't know if you fancy that, responding to what she's saying. How does this resonate with you? And Parbati has given a lovely description, of what it is you're doing this afternoon. Well, it's afternoon with me anyway.
Okay, so I'm looking at, I'll try to put that question together. I'm looking at the calendar. Right now, I'm home from the 29th of August till the 11th of September. Is there any day in there that would work before I leave, or do I defer it until I get to Spain?
Okay, you're sailing for the next month. You'll be back on the 29th. So you're
That's right.
thinking, let's meet in early September.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, what about that first week? Any time for me, the first week
So
of September.
staying with the 4th of September?
That's a Thursday.
Oh, yeah, I got the wrong month here.
Yeah, the
September
first is
the
a
8th?
holiday for us, so
What about the 8th of
the
September?
8th is fine.
Hang
All
on.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Yes, it's just that I may be in Worcester because Swaroop is coming over and she's receiving another award from Worcester University. So I'm going
Wow.
up to that on the 8th. So is the first no good?
The
Uh,
first, I'm on why don't we set it for the first? I think it should be okay. If travel plans come up, then
Yeah.
might need to bump it to Tuesday. I don't know if is
Okay.
Tuesday bad for everybody?
No.
I know we normally do Monday.
The whole week is okay for me. So
so we're putting it in the tentatively for the 1st and maybe the 2nd?
Right,
yeah,
yeah, if we wind up traveling that day, I'll let you know, but hopefully we'll be home.
it's good.
Okay,
Great. Okay.
September 1.
Yeah.
All right, great to see everybody. Really
This.
good discussion today.
Yeah, I'll send this out so we have it.
Good, good, good.
Very
Okay.
good, and I hope your class goes really well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
it sounds like she got a
Thank you.
practice in with us.
Yeah.
All
And
right,
you're
have a
gonna
good
try to
day.
see if you can get it recorded.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.